Would you say I have a reasonable understanding of how to execute these various sex acts properly?
Yes.
How awesome is that?
What you're doing is disgusting. Listen, lady.
Nice.
Well. You like that, Miles?
Yeah, man.
Excellent. Well, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm Stirling, and this gentleman right next to me is Mr. Miles Cunningham. It's good to have you here, sir.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
So it's good. I mean, we caught up a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had a chat with you, me, and Mr. Lucario. We had a really good time. I thought it was awesome to have you guys to bounce some ideas off you dudes. And it's my turn to pick your brain. So
nice. Let's go, man. Let's get it.
It was good, man. Where are you at right now? Where are you living?
I'm actually in Orlando, but I'm literally getting ready to move to North Carolina.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it the girls that are taking you there, or is it something else?
It's a bunch of things. It's a bunch of things. I'm at the lady that I've been with for like the last 18 years. We have a couple plans that we are putting together, and so it just makes sense for me to be there right now.
Yep.
But we're gonna start making some plans and doing some things with that. So North Carolina is the place to be for me right now. Because the beauty of what we do, we can do it from anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
Some things together. Yep.
Well, for anyone who's sort of new to you and your work, maybe you can give everyone a bit of a background about like where you came from, like how you came up,
right,
where you opened your skills, and how you ended up like at this point where you're actually teaching this stuff now.
Right. Well, all right. Well, first thing, I just want to put a disclaimer out there because I saw when you put the description for the show, you said that I was an expert. Okay. Now, I don't want to call myself an expert just yet. Right. I've been in this market for a long time, doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, with and for Mr. Lucario and stuff like that. So I know a little bit, but I wouldn't call myself an expert. So I just want to put that out there. I just want to stay humble for right now. The only thing is that I believe in what I say. I'm an expert in anything that I say. I really believe in it. So more than an expert, I don't say things just for shock value. I don't try to just, like honesty is very important to me. Our slogan, Lucario and I, is the truth is inside you. And, and that's something we came up with a long, long time ago. And it's something that we really, really believe, where it's like everybody has to live their truth. You understand? Everybody has to do what's right for them. And that's how you live authentically. Because if you're not living authentically, then in essence, you're living someone else's life. And so you're not living your own life. And therefore, what's the point? But how I came up, I grew up in Jamaica. Well, I didn't grow up in Jamaica. I left Jamaica when I was 3. So I was born in Jamaica and I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, for most of my life. But I come from, like, my mother's side, I got a bunch of uncles that always treated women a certain way. And I never understood why. I'm like, I thought women were sweet and nice, and you know what I'm saying? And then
sugar and spice and all things nice.
Exactly, right? And then my dad, living in America, my dad was more of like a stand back type of dad. And he would let my mom kind of do most of the stuff. So for a long time, I had that in my mind, like, sugar, spice, everything nice, women up here and guys are here. You know what I'm saying? Subconsciously. Like, my mom never said that to me, but she did. You get what I'm saying? Yep. And then society never, society keeps beating that into you as well, right? Where it's like, oh, well, women and then men and so on and so forth. So I was inundated with that for a very long time until I started getting into my teens and, having sex and dealing with women. And then around, like, I think I was like 17 and I met Lucario for the first time. And then it was a group of guys. Like, we were like a group of friends, and we would always go out cruising for chicks. and we would always like share stories, and not just share like sex stories, but we were always really honest with each other. So we would really share the realness of the stories. You understand? Like we actually talked about how we felt. Like for whatever reason, we were never the type of guys who were like super macho and just like shitted on each other for, you know, quote unquote, striking out with a girl, or you understand what I'm saying? It was always a little bit more honest and respectful, where we had a place to like really talk about what we were doing and how we did it, and why we did it, and why the girl reacted this way and why she responded that way, and so on and so forth. And then Lucario himself, he just, you know, it was the same type of way where he saw a lot of things between his parents and so on and so forth. So we always compared notes, and, you know, and it was just a great experience, you know, be like first, you know, we did music together, and even in the music, we always talked about relationships and women and things like that, and our own identity. And then as we, you know, after that, we became roommates, and growing from boys to men, you know, no, I know it's a cliche, no pun intended or whatever, but growing from boys to men, we experienced a lot together when it came to females and when it came to sex and women and interactions and stuff. So we just kind of developed like a certain identity when it came to dealing with women. And Lucario himself was always the guy kind of helping us out, because if you want to talk about experience points, he was always making the most. Like he was getting females. He was in and out, in and out, in and out. So we learned a lot from him. All of us learned a lot from him. And even when we were doing music, he was the lead performer. Like he was the headline rapper for our group. You know, I did the music. You understand? Yep. I produced the beats and all that. So I was always like the background support to his spokesman. You see what I'm saying? And then from there, this whole we got a hold to people like Tariq Nasheed and, you know, other like motivational speakers and, you know, Rosebud, guys like Rosebud and things like that. We started soaking up all of that game, right? Until we realized that, and I think nowadays, and no offense to anybody, but what I think is nowadays, I see a lot of people, they see the ability to make money, or they see a lane that they could come into and make it profitable. But what we saw in our group, and again, because of the honesty of everything and how we moved, we literally saw that guys like Tariq Nasheed needed help to spread the message of game. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, we just want to do what Tariq Nasheed does. It was more like, I think like we really believed in the message. We really believed in masculinity. We really believed in, you know, having a certain level of game and leadership in yourself as a man, so you can bestow that onto a female and actually, you know, have healthy interactions. You understand? And as you make yourself better as a man, you make the female better. You understand what I'm saying?
I see that in your message a lot. I see you talking more about like it's why I wanted to have you on as well, because your kind of message is a little bit a different focus to Lucario's, right? Where Lucario seems to focus more on like the pure game side of things, and you seem to focus a lot more on the masculinity side of things.
Right. Yeah.
Which is something I really resonate with, because I actually have not that dissimilar like parental structure to what you had, like a father that was very, very like in the house, but he just stepped back.
Exactly. Yeah, he was there. He was always there. Great provider.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, provider, not like a mentor, not
right
a leader within. I mean, like a leader within the family, but he wasn't stepping up and wasn't. There was nothing to sort of learn off of him about male-female dynamics.
Right.
We were constantly being sort of taught life by me. My siblings were being taught life by our mother.
Right.
And I'm sure your mother was a lovely woman too. My mother was a lovely woman, bless her heart. She was, you know, she did everything she knew how to do. She did her best.
Exactly.
As a young man, you can't get everything you need from a woman. You need from a mother. You need a father or a male role model for those men who are brought up without a father.
Right.
You need a strong male role model in your life to absorb and like mirror masculine traits.
Right.
To start to learn, oh, okay, this is how. Because I don't know, are you familiar with Jack Donovan's work?
Jack Donovan.
He wrote the Way of Men. It's a book. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but he talks about, he's one of my favorite authors, and he talks about this, like the concept of, he's about the only person I've ever seen define masculinity in a way that it's that I don't see any way of disagreeing with it. Like,
wow.
A lot of the times when guys just try to describe masculinity, it's really hard to kind of describe what masculinity is, right? It's because it's somewhat contextual and subjective depending upon what culture you're in, right? But the way he defines it is he defines it as strength, courage, mastery, and honor. These being the 4 masculine virtues, right? And so if you're brought up with just a mother, or if it's just a mother sort of teaching you about life, you don't learn these virtues, because women don't need, they can develop them, but they don't need to develop strength. They don't need to develop courage. They don't need to develop mastery, and they don't need to develop honor. But men do need to develop them to be respected by other men and to be respected by women.
That's a fact.
Without them, you will not be respected at all. And that's fundamentally men. That's what men want. Men want respect. Most men don't really give a shit if you like them or not.
Right.
They care if you respect them.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Because as a man, you come into the situation knowing that you're different.
Yeah.
You understand? And you know, just as a side note, that like the whole MGTOW thing, it's and not to insult anyone or anything, but it's a redundant. It's a very redundant idea, because we're men. Like, we're all supposed to be going in different directions. We're all supposed to be going our own way. You understand? So the whole idea of it is kind of redundant. So when I look at that, it's like, so if it's so redundant, then what are we really saying? You get what I'm saying? So,
whenever I see the MGTOW thing, I just see guys giving up.
Right. Exactly.
You're not going, like, because it's like, you just decided to not play the game of life. As far as I'm concerned, if you're not, because you could, I've started having this thought going through my head for the last like month, which is like, everything is a cope. If a dude isn't like, every man wants to be rich, have loads of women around him, and be respected by other men. You're like, every man wants that. If you took a guy who is like the epitome of that, he's like a UFC fighter, he's like a millionaire, and then he's got like a throng, like a harem of women. You took this like hypothetical dude, like every motherfucker on the planet would trade places with him in a heartbeat.
Right.
They'll say they won't. They'll say, "Oh, I don't want that. I just want my traditional wife, tall white picket fence and kids." Like every guy wants kids, yeah, but you also want that. And anyone who tries to tell you otherwise, in my opinion, is just fucking coping. Right. It's massive, because they don't think they can get it.
Exactly.
They don't think they have what it takes to achieve like superiority in those 3 realms of life: money, women, and like I guess respect.
Exactly.
I sort of lump like the ability to fight and like beat the crap out of somebody else. How violent your capacity for violence. I'd put that as like a thing there. Right. And I think if you don't have that, then it's like a cope.
Right. Exactly. You see what it is to it. It's a funny thing about reality, right? A lot of people are existing within reality, and then you have others who realize that there's a certain percentage of reality that I actually can control. Yeah. And once I harness that idea and begin to take action, you understand? That is like, Jack Donovan, The Way of a Man, like mastery. There's certain things you have to master. Like, you have to learn the skills to be able to change certain things in your life. Yep. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. So many guys, it's kind of like they're just not familiar with the reality. You understand? They've been inundated and put to sleep with all the the fear of consequence. Right. And here's the thing that a lot of guys don't understand about consequence. Consequence can be tough, but it's also a good thing, because when you come out on the other side, you're at another level of mastery. Yeah. You understand? Because mastery is not just reading a book and gaining knowledge. Sometimes we have to get our ass beat. Sometimes we have to really get our hands dirty, get our face bloody, skin our knee to really get to that next piece of reality that says, okay, I've experienced that, I've embraced it, I've absorbed the punishment, and now I'm able to come out a whole different person on the other side. But so many dudes, it's like, well, I could never even dare to want to have two women, so I'm just gonna marry Sarah and just have a like you said, a traditional life. While deep down inside they're depressed.
Yeah,
and they're sad.
You really hit on something there. That's like, you can't develop confidence, you can't develop self-esteem without having gone through like the trials and the tribulations and the and been forged in. You have to be forged in fire, is what I'm trying to say. Like you have to like every guy who knows how to fight has been punched in the face. Like that's the reality of it. You can't avoid that. And a lot of people we're in a society which sort of reinforces being comfortable. Everything has to be convenient and easy and comfortable. This is the biggest lie of modern society, is that comfort equals happiness.
Right.
That's complete bullshit.
Right.
It's not true for women, and it's definitely not true for men. Men more than ever. Like women can kind of live with comfort. Men get fucking depressed when they're comfortable. If they've got nothing to strive for, nothing to work towards, they are unhappy, and you see this everywhere. You know.
But let me tell you, but those are men. Those are men. What's happening is in today's time, we have a lot of males.
Yeah.
We have a lot of males who they are,
call them penis owners. Penis owners.
Right, exactly. They just own penises, but they are totally subscribed to the comfort of today. And they don't realize that it is so anti-masculine. Yeah. Because we try to tell guys all the time that there is no room in this world for a man to claim a safe space. There's no safe space for a man. Once you start to get into a safe space, once you believe that there's a guarantee of anything, you stop working. You stop working, and that's the part that becomes dangerous. Because once you stop working, that's when, you lose your edge.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and you see, a lot of guys will blame hypergamy on a female. Hypergamy is the result of complacent men.
Yeah. Well,
it really is.
I don't think I look at hypergamy like this. I look at hypergamy as this sort of what would you call it? Like the dude standing behind you with like a spear, like poking you in the back, constantly prodding you forward. Right. Kind of how I see hypergamy in my head. It's like, because if you stand still, you're gonna get stabbed in the back. Exactly. You gotta keep moving. It's like you can hate it, but that's nature. It's like tiger got stripes, man. Deal with it. Right. The reality of the world. Okay, cool. So you might as well look at it from a perspective that is positive, which is, okay, this hypergamy thing is something that forces me to constantly try and do better, to keep me on my game, to keep me growing, to keep me learning. Right. Right. Real quickly, I'm just going to catch up with the chat here. We had a real quick super chat further back. DBB, thank you very much for the 699 Canadian super chat. Much appreciated. To everyone else in the chat, Thomas Blake, good to see you. We just went straight into the conversation, so I didn't have a chance to say hi to everybody. Simply Too Deep, good to see you again. Randall J, welcome. Alessio, good to see you. Yes, Queens. What is hip hop? Good to see you in the house. Don DeMarco's in here. You must have come over from Myron's stream. Yeah. Marco. Yep. Nelly Sabiba, do chin-ups. Chin-ups cures everything. Well, I'd say pull-ups, not chin-ups. I'd say pull-ups. Pull-ups much harder. And I think there's Falgo's good to see you as well. Okay, we'll come back to this, Falgo's. Good question. And Dangerous. Dangerous is in the house, and so is Solomon the Magnificent. Always good to see you, mate. Always good to see you. And yeah, we've got Dangerous. Just making sure everyone gets a bit of screen time here. Yeah. So this is why I really was looking forward to talking with you, man, because I knew you and me could riff back and forth about masculinity for hours. And there was something else I was going to say. Yeah, you touched on something like guys sort of get stuck in this. I always hated, when I was younger, I always had the problem with the phrase "settle down." Yeah. it always rubbed me the wrong way because like, why am I settling? Like, I don't like this word.
Right.
And you mentioned something a second ago where it was like, guys settle for like, marrying Becky because they don't think they could get two women to stick around. Right. And honestly, I think the way the world is right now, unless we have there's two things that could happen, right? Because one, we're seeing all kinds of crazy shits happening right now with the stock market, like GME is being memed to the moon. Dogecoin is being memed to the moon for some reason. God, I love the internet. And King Biden got elected.
Yeah.
Passed like 24 executive orders in the first week or something. Shit's moving at a very fast pace right now. Okay, so if the fiat monetary system collapses and we're all in Mad Max, this could happen within the next year. We could end up in Mad Max society, and then shit goes back to the way it was like 1,000 years ago. That's a possibility, and I'm entirely ready for that possibility to happen. The other possibility is things keep kind of going the way they are, right? And the world kind of ends up, because the world is sort of in this winner, very, very more so than it has ever been, is in like a winner takes all situation, right? We talk about like the top 20% of dudes getting like access to 80% of the women. And, things like Instagram are sort of perpetuating that, right? The sort of online culture where women can get attention from men anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is going to happen is we're going to see a return, not a return, but we're going to see harems become the norm.
Exactly. If all of these women want the top 10%, you're going to have to share them.
Yeah.
You're going to have to share them. Bottom line.
Yeah.
You understand? And females, their options get smaller and smaller as time goes on. And with men, our options get bigger and bigger.
Yep.
That's just a fact. You understand? And it's, I don't, it's like I've, for a long time, because again, to go back to how we came up and, and the relationship between Lucario and I, Lucario was the one that kind of introduced me to the possibility of a non-monogamous lifestyle as a man.
Yep.
You understand? And I'm like, bro, how do you do it? And I literally watched him develop through it. And then I got to really understand it, because when he first started, I was like, I don't know how I could do that. Like, I was still in the frame of mind, like, jealousy and all the average emotions that the average man feels and so on and so forth. But as time went on and I really got a handle on things, and again, watching him develop through it, it's like, this is really like for me now, personally, it's the only way, really.
Yeah.
It's actually, to me, in my mind, it's the only way. Like all that other shit, like we was talking about before, a lot of men are actually coping when deep down they know they have the heart, they have the ability to be able to satisfy more than one woman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But they know they can't ask for it. So they're just like, all right, I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut. And
yeah.
And then the sad part is they end up like cheating on their wife or doing something very, very low integrity. And then that's the part that kind of it trickles back into the psyche of the female.
Yeah. They end up resenting the wife.
Exactly. Because of the decision that they made. Right.
Because their own decision. They're like, because their own lack of options, their own lack of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Forces them into a situation they didn't necessarily want to be in. Then they resent the wife, and then the wife gets resentful of them, and it's like this shitstorm, like a storm in a teacup. It's like they're fucking each other over. But if the guy was honest with himself, like women say this all the time, they want a guy who's I wish men would just be more honest with me and show their emotions. And like, okay, I want a fucking dozen women sucking my dick on rotation, bitch. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm being honest with you. But they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that at all.
but at some point, that's gonna be the norm, or at somewhere in there. Maybe not 12, but
whatever. Because you need like. Here's the thing. Here's the sort of caveat with the honesty thing, right? Is that he has to be a guy who is not going to back down from being honest.
Exactly.
Because like if a dude's like, all right, you're not my only girl. I need multiple women, and you're going to have to share me. And that at that point, when he says that, when he's honest, then comes the crucial test of his strength and his frame.
And his right.
When she comes back at him and she says, "Oh, I don't want that. It's not acceptable," then he has to hold firm.
Exactly.
All right. Well, it's my way or the highway. That's it.
They say that when if you ever come face to face with the devil and he looks you in the eye, don't blink.
Right.
Because once you blink, then he knows he got you. So it's the same thing with the female, because females are the devil. So when she challenges it, no, I love females. Let me stop. But when she challenges you, though, you can't blink.
Yeah.
You understand? Because she's gonna challenge you.
Yep.
She's gonna challenge you, but you can't blink. And leadership is another part of it, because there's gonna be, when you say, "Hey, I want multiple women," and she's gonna come back with, "Well, I want multiple men." It's like, look, as long as I get what I want, then hey, whatever we got to do is what we got to do. You understand what I'm saying? So you can't blink, and you have to have a leadership quality about you, where you're even willing to help her with the so-called other guys that she's trying to see.
Right.
You understand? That's how deep the rabbit hole gets, where you have to preserve your emotions, you have to control your emotions, be a leader by example for her, right? And there are going to be times when you're going to have to let her know that I'm not telling you can't see different guys, but you're gonna have to be a better judge of character. If you're bringing other people into this situation and certain other things, you're gonna have to make sure that the men that you see is a certain caliber, because you can't be messing with me and then you mess with a certain caliber of man. Like, right. So there's a lot of different details and angles that go with the non-monogamous lifestyle that truthfully a lot of men may not be ready for. You understand? And that's what I mean when I say there is no real safe space or sanctuary for men. You understand?
Yeah.
You're only safe, and you're only as safe and as secure as the environment you can create. You see what I'm saying?
That's very important. Yeah. Because that's good. I'm glad you mentioned that, because like this idea of like there not being safe spaces for men. It's sort of like they're kind of used to, like, I wouldn't even call them safe spaces. We used to have things like gentlemen's clubs, like not strip clubs, but actual gentlemen's clubs, like cigar lounges. And we used to have things like the Boy Scouts, and we used to have like men's only clubs and events and places where men could go hang out with other dudes, shoot the shit, be open and honest, right? Because men talk and act differently when there's women around. It's just the reality of the world. So if you wanted to split hairs, you could technically have called those like safe spaces, right? But they're not really safe spaces, because you're still in a masculine like hierarchy, so you're still being tested and you're still being held accountable to your actions, and you have to prove your worth. You have to garner respect. So it's not really safe. Right. But you just touched on it then. Like you have to kind of build that yourself, right? And that really comes down to building your network of men.
Right.
Your tribe, if you want to call it that, like your social circle, your close social circle of guys that you can depend upon, because that's something I think a lot of men are missing, and it's having a close knit circle of men that they trust, who are on a mission with,
and honestly, that's the beautiful part about Lucario and I. Like we've been friends since like age 17, and like for example, his wife and I share the same birthday.
All right.
And it's just real interesting like how things brought us together, and like how we have these like similarities. And the beautiful part about our relationship is that everything we do is not for the other, but it's like we do what we want to do for ourselves, and it benefits the other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not even like like a symbiotic relationship where we're feeding off each other. Like we're literally just two different forces kind of working in tandem. You see what I'm saying? Where he has his own identity, I have my own identity, but the stars align for, both of us to, prosper. You understand what I'm saying? But it's never like, oh, well, I'm worried about doing this because it might offend him and vice versa. You understand what I'm saying? Like I honestly 100% trust and appreciate the person that he is, and it's the same thing on my side. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So there's an honesty to it. You understand? Where it's like I'm not doing anything for Lucario, and he's not doing anything for me. It's just that we're just lucky enough to have met, and we're moving in similar directions and making things happen for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to catch up on some quick super chats here while we're in the middle of this. Where we get to? I like this. Randall says he flipped $150 to $500 with Dogecoin. Well done, sir. It's incredible. Don DeMarco, you said a while ago, I think you asked earlier in the chat, Don, do I have a soundboard?
Gotcha, bitch.
Yes, I do have a soundboard. He said, how do you guys invest in crypto? Well, I use two things at the moment. I use three things. I use Coinbase for doing dollar cost averaging into Ethereum and Chainlink, and I use Swan Bitcoin to weekly dollar cost average into Bitcoin, and then I use a Trezor as my hardware security, like a very secure crypto wallet that I move everything into. So that anyone looking to get stuck into crypto, that's a very, very like, I understand kind of how crypto works, but I'm not like a technical fucking guru about it. You know what I mean? And I don't sit back and I don't sit and watch charts and analyze charts. This is a very, very easy way for most people to get into crypto, is just to do this thing called dollar cost averaging, which basically means you buy like $100 every week.
Right.
The same thing. And what that does is it takes your like primitive panicking monkey brain out of the equation of, oh shit, the price is crashing, I better sell. Like it gets rid of that shit.
Right.
Just, look, I'm just going to put it away, and then you average the cost of it over time.
Right, exactly.
There you go. That's kind of how I do it. And then we have Mark PMC1. Have to catch this later, but props to Stirling for his great content, and props to Miles for joining me. Thank you very much, mate. Mohammed says hello. Good to see you. Smash the like button while we're here, guys. Don't forget, we'll keep smashing the like button. Keeps everyone coming into the chat and joining us. Derbil McDillett. That's a great name. Can you post about escalation in face SLAPing? No, I can't post it on YouTube, mate, because that will immediately get me a red flag. I do a
Patreon thing.
Yeah, I do break this down in my video course, Sexual Dominance Escalation. The link is down below in the description of this YouTube video. So check that out if you're interested in learning that. It's one of over 80 different sexual techniques I actually break down in that course. So there's not just about the face stuff. There's a whole ton of stuff in that video course. So check it out in the link down below. Derbil, that's where you can go to learn that. Because I sure as hell can't put it on YouTube. All right. Now where were we? Now let's talk let's talk a little bit about the you mentioned like you've done some videos on this idea of relationship culture.
Yes.
On your YouTube channel. Actually, first of all, I'm going to drop your YouTube channel in the chat just here, so guys can actually go find this if they want to actually investigate a bit more.
Nice.
And the chat is Miles's. That's a bit hard of a name to pluralize. Miles's YouTube channel is in the chat right now. But yeah, maybe touch a little bit on this idea of relationship culture.
Well, the thing is, the reason why I thought I came up with it first was because I kind of had this sort of epiphany with, a lot of guys talking about going overseas to date women, or to, deal with the, prostitutes, have sex, buy sex, whatever you want to say, or, or even just to deal with the local chicks that are impressed with the fact that you're traveling, right? So if you're traveling, you definitely have disposable income, so they're gonna take to you. You understand what I'm saying? And so a lot of guys is like, well, I love going to Dominican Republic. I love going to Brazil because those women they look at me like I'm the prize, and they're so submissive. And I'm the type of person where I try to be like a third or fourth dimensional thinker or a critical thinker where I don't just look at the thing, I look at why the thing is the thing. You understand? So these guys are like, oh, well, these women look at me like I'm the prize. These women are submissive. My question is, why are they submissive?
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me that they're submissive because they have been raised generationally in a culture of women being submissive, right? And who who's the architect of the culture? The men. You understand? So I'm like, so what you're really saying is you're going over here, you're trying to take refuge in a society, in a culture where the women are submissive, but that is the result of the men doing their job for all these centuries.
Yeah.
So and again, I don't try to blame things on women. I don't blame things on society. I always ask myself, what is my fault? What is my responsibility within this situation? And I'm like, well, like those men, what I need to do is create a culture in any relationship that I have with any woman that I'm dealing with. And so I'm like, because the thing, so to come back to, looking at America, there's a lot going on in America. There's a lot of different, cultures in general in America. I mean, America itself is a stolen land, because they already had native people here. And then on top of that, we have so much freedom of speech and freedom to say what we want. So so you got your social justice warriors, you got your LGBT, you have your sugar spice and everything nice, and your feminist movements, and you understand what I'm saying? And you even have male feminists where they're supporting all of that stuff. But then you also have guys like us. And what I'm saying is, okay, I love the fact that in America, everybody has the freedom to say what they want, right? But here's the caveat. I'm a man, and if a woman wants to deal with me, she has to deal with the culture that I create, because I'm not going to allow her to try to fit me into her culture or into her plan. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm looking at, and I also went back and did research with all these other cultures, like Brazil especially. I found out that in the Iberian Peninsula, in the ancient Iberian Peninsula, their main culture of society was military dominance, because they did a lot of like that whole area Spain, Portugal, all those areas were conquered by the Iberian men. You understand what I'm saying? And and of course I'm missing some details to the history, but the basic idea was that they believed in military conquest and the dominance of males in society. You understand? So they took that culture straight from the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal and all that, brought it directly over to Brazil. You understand? Where they still speak Portuguese, but all these women are submissive, not just by nature and not just because you're some cute guy from the United States on vacation, but because that's how they were bred to be by their men. You understand? So my thing is, if those men can do it, then I feel like we can do it too. And if we can't do it for all of society in America, then we can at least do it for ourselves.
Yeah, bingo. That's really, you really nailed something there. It's the reason that we have, like feminism and SJWs and stuff in America, when now basically in most of the West, is because men let it get that way.
Exactly.
But being honest, that's why. It's like we sort of like we got comfortable. We're like, yeah, okay, you can
the two
work in the sawmill. That's fine. Like,
the freedom of speech by our forefathers backfired just a little bit.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Look, and it's so yeah, because guys will often sort of lament that, oh, like the West is doomed and women in the West are trash or whatever. It's like, well, actually, like, so we just, me and my buddy Tom, who I've been traveling with, my buddy Tom isn't here right now. We've been traveling. We actually went through Portugal. We spent 2 weeks in Portugal.
Right.
Lovely place with lovely women.
Yes,
a great place. I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. Lots of Brazilian women go there because it's Portuguese speaking. So you get European girls and you get Brazilian girls. It's
nice.
I digress. We went from there and then we flew into America. Right, we're back now.
Right,
and we spent some time in the middle of America, in small in Kentucky. Like, mate, like there are good women there. There are good women there. This is the thing. This is a conclusion that me and my buddy Tom came to, which was like, everyone, there isn't actually like a lack of submissive feminine Western women in America. They're just hard to find.
Right. Okay.
Because they're in middle America.
Right.
They're not in the
major cities. No.
Not in the big cities where you can swipe on Tinder and meet them.
Right.
So, like, they do exist. But the challenge is, how the hell do you find them? And how the hell do you meet them? That's a problem we haven't solved yet. So I'm sure at some point someone's going to solve that problem. But they do exist. And they exist in these places where the culture hasn't been allowed to sort of run rampant into, say, like modern feminism or degeneracy or whatever it is. Right. But that's because of men enforcing boundaries. It's because of men saying, well, like, men not putting up with shit, really. Like, a perfect example is Myron Gaines. Unplugged Fit. If anyone doesn't know who the hell he is by now, then you've been living under a rock. You definitely don't have TikTok.
Right.
But, like, he kicks girls out of his apartment all the time if they don't comply. It's like, it's very much comply or goodbye. And right. He takes a lot of L's because of that, but because it's in a big city, he has a big pool of women. It's a big funnel.
Right.
It's like a giant sales funnel. Like, you got lots of women coming in the top, and then he filters hard. More men need to do that. If more men were filtering that hard,
right,
it would take a generation, and women would be fine again. We wouldn't have the male female conflict that we kind of have right now in Western society, where we're sort of butting heads a lot of the time. Exactly. If dudes just sort of put their foot down a bit more, because if they weren't so desperate for a little bit of poon, they weren't so desperate to have a woman touch their pee-pee,
right,
they might just start setting boundaries.
Right. Because the thing is, like, a lot of guys, maybe they're desperate, maybe they're still virgins, maybe they just don't have a lot of experience.
I just got to throw this comment on Brandon Daniel. Stay away from our Midwestern women. They're the last of a dying breed.
No, he's right. A lot of them towns will look at you just like how the guys in the other countries will look at you. Like, oh, look at this city slicker coming in here trying to take our women. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
guys get lost, with the initial offering of vagina.
Yeah.
When they don't realize that the thing that the vagina is connected to is the more important conquest.
Exactly.
And not to call it conquest like conquest, but we need to be able to negotiate the mind of the woman. You understand? So then vagina is easy access, because once we negotiate the mind of the woman, and we can satisfy her needs, make sure she's protected, make sure she's provided for, and give her a certain level of intelligence, and have a plan for her. You understand? Give her a place where she can thrive. Like I always say that, a man buys the house, but it's the woman who decorates it. It's the woman who turns it into a home. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's her nature. You understand? But I first have to buy the house. I first have to set the four walls, the boundaries in which she can thrive as a female, in which her feminine, energies can actually, come to fruition. You understand what I'm saying? But I have to do my part first as a man.
Yep.
And so guys, they get the first initial offering of the vagina, and it's like, that's it. It's like, after that, oh, I got the vagina. Okay, the work is done. No, my friend, the work has just begun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And I like, Myron Gaines has talked about this a lot. He talks about, like, women not really having, like, women not having the capacity particularly in the West, to, like, lock a man down.
Right.
And it's like, and John from Modern Life Dating, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he says the same thing. He's like chick game is like cooking for you, cleaning for you, like giving you a massage, like lulling you into comfort, where it's like, I can't be bothered going out and finding another woman. This woman's great. She's like she's like being really nice and sweet and nurturing. That's right. Like chick game. Like, chick game isn't spreading your legs. Chick game isn't like just chick game isn't seducing a guy.
Right.
It's actually like retaining a dude. That especially now, that's the hard part for a lot of girls, is to sort of, I would absolutely love I would absolutely love to get some like women on the show who are in a position who are kind of like older women who are kind of frustrated with their dating options. Because I'd love to actually have a genuine conversation with some older women about this stuff instead of hear it from their perspective. Because I deal with lots of younger women, obviously, in my line of work, who are kind of oblivious to what the future holds. Like willfully oblivious, like, it'll be fine. I'll just keep doing lines of cocaine and sucking dick all my life. I'll be like, it's okay. You can do that for like a good 15 years.
Right.
You can. You absolutely can.
They cannot see in the future, man. Their asses are too tight, and their tips are too perky. They can't see past that right now, man. They just can't.
Yeah, I mean, and look, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of MILFs in my industry who have fucking fantastic bodies, and they can definitely keep attracting guys well into like their mid 30s.
Right.
But eventually, you know,
right.
you don't die at age 40. You die at like age 80. Like
exactly. You can attract guys all the time. But can you keep them?
Yeah.
You understand? Do you have, like you said, the chick game? Can you keep a guy around? Like, does a man actually want to be around you after he's finished fucking you? Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. It's and I do like, don't get me wrong, it's fantastic for me because I get to have random casual sex all the time. It's great. It's no skin off my back. You know, it's like I can, if I want to, it's not going to be hard. Like I have, you know, women asking me like to join my harem and stuff. Like I put it out there pretty blatantly that, like, especially on this YouTube channel, that like, okay, my goal is to build a harem. Like, I want like 6 wives, 2 kids each to each woman. I want a fucking castle, land, a pack of attack dogs to defend my shit, and some firearms.
It's so funny. That's a goal of mine too. I want a family on every continent.
I don't know if I want them on every continent. I want to keep them all. I want them all in the one place where I can keep an eye on them.
See, I like traveling, so I want them on every continent.
I do like traveling, but here's my plan, Miles. So I'm going to do I'm the one that does the traveling. I will go to the countries that I like and steal the women and bring them back to me.
Exactly.
That's the plan. Keep them in the castle, keep them under lock and key, and protect them with my pack of dogs.
Right.
And then we're good. You know, that's the general plan. Nice. But I'm not joking when I'm saying, I've said this multiple times on this stream, and people are like, aha, funny, like it's a crazy plan. Still like, well, yeah. So was getting into porn. That was a pretty fucking crazy plan as well. But I did it.
Right. And so
you know, I look, if you have ridiculous goals, you're more likely to achieve them.
Exactly, because not many people are going for the same thing,
and it excites you. It's like it's something that you're not going to like. This is a goal that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to spend the next 10, 15 years working on this. Like, and I'm not going to run out of motivation because it's exciting. It's something that gets your balls tingling, and you wake up in the morning, you think about it, like, oh yeah, I want to build this thing. But it's not like I'm going to have a hard time. As a man who's building up his value, building up, you know, building more skills, building up my network, building up my net worth, building up my whatever it is, I'm building my value. It's not hard for me to find a woman who wants to like settle down and have kids with me. That's not a challenge.
Right.
It is the other way around, though, is a challenge. And I have to have a lot of sympathy because women they've been lied to. They've been told they've been told the comfortable lie.
Exactly.
Their whole life in the West, and it's like we're doing them a bit of disservice. And the reason they've been told a comfortable lie is because dudes are too much of a pussy to upset them. They're like, they don't want to. The men who were lying to them and being like, "Oh, it's fine, honey. Like you'll be, you know, you have kids in your 30 when you're 35. There's no danger of them having Down syndrome at all. Like, which is absolutely the case. Like my mother had me when she was, I think my mother had me when she was 37. which is staggeringly dangerous.
Yep.
She was very, very concerned that I would be a downy. Very concerned. Like, she told me this, like, to my face. She's like, I was worried that you were gonna. Luckily, I'm an extremely intelligent, healthy, handsome young man. So she dodged a bullet there. But that is I am the exception. So so that's apparently what happens. If you have kids when you're 37, they're either Down syndrome or they come out like me and they come out amazing. So it's a bit of a roll of the dice. But that's I know women who have gone to gynecologists and is there a word for a pregnancy doctor? I'm not even sure if there's a word. For that.
Gynecologist.
It is a gynecologist. Okay, or is it something else? Well, anyway, they've gone to see a fertility specialist,
right,
here in America, and these women are 35, and they've gone in and they've said, "You've still got plenty of time. You can get pregnant, no problem at all." This is a lie, a flat out biological lie. Your chances of getting pregnant diminish every year.
Exactly, but the word you were looking for was an obstetrician.
Oh, there you go, obstetrician. But the reason they're telling these women this is because they know that when the woman hits 40 and she wants to be pregnant, they can sell her on artificial insemination, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
It is stupidly expensive.
Right.
And it's man, that is the biggest fucking con I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's a whole. Listen, the rabbit hole goes so deep on that because they even push C-section pregnancies or births.
Yeah.
Just so they can charge more money for the surgery.
Which is actually bad for the baby.
Exactly.
There's a reason we want to come out through the vaginal passage when we're being born, is because you get inoculated. The child gets inoculated with its first dose of bacteria from the mother. And that's because what you see is kids who are born through C-section have far weaker immune systems.
Wow, yeah.
Because they don't get that initial bacterial inoculation when they pass through the vagina. It's really interesting stuff. And
they get drugged up because they have to give you anesthesia to cut you open.
Yeah.
So the child comes out drugged up.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing.
I've gone down on a completely different rant that I didn't intend on going down, but we weren't there. So whatever. Well, let me change. Let's change tack a little bit then. What do you see is the most common mistakes that you see guys making these days in terms of their approach towards attracting women and I guess vetting them and stuff?
Well, I think a general common mistake is having a gynocentric view of male-female interaction. And when I say that, I mean they structure everything mentally around the female when they should be structuring everything mentally around themselves, right? So, for example, if a guy is setting a date, he'll ask her, what does she want to do and where does she want to go? When you should be telling her, hey, meet me here because this is where I like to go. You understand? Because they never remember that they're offering that female an opportunity to get to know them. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? They're offering the female an opportunity to get to know them. And with most men think that they're being offered an opportunity to know the girl. And it's well, I could find somebody to cook, clean, fuck, suck. You understand what I'm saying? Pretty much anywhere, right? I'm the man. I'm the one that's building. I'm the one that's creating. I'm the one that this civilization, this culture, everything that you see around you, 9 times out of 10 has been created by a man.
Oh yeah.
And there's something to be said about that. And not to say that women have no importance necessarily. I'm not really saying that. But what I'm saying is that woman should be getting to know you first. You understand? Because here's the thing. I think that all of us are important to, procreation, to making the world go round, right? But how does a baby get made? The sperm has to get to the egg. You see what I'm saying? The sperm has to travel to the egg. Like there is a sequence of events in this thing. And who's first in the sequence of events? It's the man. So it's everybody's important, but I have to come first. You see what I'm saying? So what I mean when I say that, it's like guys are thinking that women come first. And it's like not even deep down, not even the woman wants you to think that way.
Mm.
You understand? Not even the woman wants you to think that way. They want to know that you're confident. They want to know that you know you come first because they want to follow a man that has that understanding. That's what they truly want. But I think overall, to answer your question, that's the biggest mistake that a lot of these guys are making these days. They make everything about everything else, even to the point where when they're not having success with women, they're blaming it on the women. You understand? They're making it gynocentric even when they're lamenting and complaining.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
everything is gynocentric. And what I'm saying is if everything was masculine, then we would, like I said, focus on ourselves. And even when things were going wrong, we would still focus on ourselves and try to figure out how to fix it from an honest place. Then that's where we need to be. That's masculinity. You understand? Not, these women and oh my God. And I like, again, even researching the cultures like I did, it's a fact. It's a repeated fact through history that men are the ones that teach women how to think and behave. We tell them how to think and behave. So blaming women for your issues, it's moot. Like it makes absolutely no sense. You see what I'm saying? But I think that's the overall biggest mistake. The gynocentric mindset that men have adopted in pretty much everything. You know what I mean?
It's interesting you said that because where you said that women sort of follow the mindset of the men in their life, right? Women will sort of you're always the emotional leader,
right?
In the like what you feel, she feels, right? Like if you want, and I say this in the bed, it applies in the bedroom too. It's like if you're nervous and not confident and uncomfortable in the bedroom, she is going to feel that way too. But if you're confident and sure of yourself in the bedroom, she's going to relax and get into it and enjoy it. Like this translates across the entire male-female experience.
Yep.
Right? But what's happened is, so normally, like, the strongest man in her life is her, like, guide to how to think and how to act and what the world is and what truth is and what, like philosophy, for want of a better, like, word, right? The strongest man in her life kind of dictates what she thinks, really, like what she believes.
Exactly.
It tends to be dictated by the strongest man in her life. Now, unfortunately, the strongest man in women's lives today is media, big tech, big daddy government.
Right, exactly. Yep.
That's actually the strongest, quote unquote, man in her life right now. So, because this is sort of, and this is, I'm not going to sit here and claim this is like a conscious thing that happens, but a lot of women will sort of, I remember having this conversation with Donovan Sharp, where like a lot of women will test their man in public, in a public place, to see if he has the balls. Like, and they're not doing this, they might not be doing this deliberately. This is like an unconscious thing. They're testing him in public to see if he has the balls to call her out on her bullshit in public, in front of strangers, and risk having somebody call the cops. And I'm not saying he's going to knock her out. I'm just saying, like actually, like, using assertive language,
right,
in a public space where people might interpret him as being, he's an abusive partner, he's like a woman beater. No, he's not any of these things. He's just setting boundaries. But she's gonna but there's always, for men in society, there's always the risk of some kind of allegation of that sort. Exactly. There's always of big daddy government coming in and locking you away, putting you away, and throwing away the key.
Right.
And it's this subconscious thing. I've seen this where, like, women will test a guy out in public just to see if the guy has the balls to call her out and risk being labeled, like, not even actually accused, but just being labeled as a guy who might, be a scumbag. Even when he's not.
Right.
And it's because like subconsciously they know that the biggest man in their life is government or is media, is like this voice that talks to them through this thing. Somehow just disappeared. Wow, my phone is like see-through. That's pretty cool. Didn't know that. But yeah, it's this weird situation we're in, and that's why I think a lot of, because you think about it, like back rewind the clock like 100, 200 years, and we had what, the wireless. We didn't have TV. We didn't have the internet. We just had we had the wireless radio. Who is doing more communicating to a woman? It's probably her father.
Her father, her brother,
your immediate family. That's where she's getting her guidance from. But now that voice, that most dominant voice in her life, is basically like the mainstream big tech narrative that is being pumped through TV, movies, Netflix, Instagram, whatever.
Exactly. Right. Which is why I believe so much in the narrative of creating your own culture.
Yeah.
It's it might even be some like a sort of indoctrination. You know, if a woman says, "Oh, I just like being with you. Oh, you really want to be with me?" Then you gotta hand her like a Bible of shit. Like, look, read this, and then come back to me, and we'll have a discussion, and we'll see how much you really want to be with me. You understand? Like, I always think about it as, you know, me being the employer, and I have to give my employees the employee handbook. You understand? Because there's a rule. There is a plan, you know, there's a mission statement, there's a set of rules, there's code of conduct, there's even dress code. You understand? Like, even when sometimes when I'm setting up dates, I'll literally tell the female what to wear on the date. You understand? Like, and a lot of times, you know, it's a part of it is to see her level of compliance, but another part of it is I want you to wear a dress because I love feminine things. I want you to accentuate your curves. I don't want you wearing pants just like me. We're not the same.
Yeah.
We're not the same. Like, I'm a man, you're a woman. I put my seed in you, you carry it for 9 months. I don't do that. And while you're carrying that, I can inject my seed in somewhere else and they'll carry it for 9 months. We're definitely different. We are not equal. We're not 50-50. Yeah. We're two different species out here. You understand?
That's it, man. And I think we're pretty much preaching to the choir here.
Yeah, exactly.
We do this kind of stuff, but it does need to be reiterated every now and then that we really are quite different in our needs, our desires, our life cycle is probably that's probably the biggest lie that tends to get perpetuated, is that we're exactly the same in our life cycle. You know, and Rollo Tomasi, the Godfather Rollo, hope you're watching this, shout out. He's the one who sort of like really hammered this home. The idea that like women go through this phase, they're like they peak and then they come crashing down, and that's the unfortunate nature of beauty being an asset, is that it is depreciating, and it's
definitely
I see that a lot with my co-stars, where they think it's going to last forever, because they get a lot of attention because they're on the internet showing their ass. So they think this they've only been alive for like 18, 19 years, and 4 of those years they've had all the male attention in the world.
Right.
So they're like, oh, this is how life is. This is how reality is. Well, unfortunately, it's not going to be like that in about 15 years' time.
The thing is also that the type of attention they get is so, especially with the advent of social media, like you were talking about, right? You know, with their phone, it's so constant. You understand? It's so constant, and the magnitude of it is so great that they literally cannot see a time where they won't be, you know, getting the attention from these men for free. They literally can't see it. And in a way, it's messed up because you almost can't even blame them because remember they're emotional. So like I said, the magnitude of the attention plus the constant, they check their phones, millions of DMs on the dating apps, millions of messages, and even in their personal stuff, millions of emails, millions of texts.
Yeah.
Get on WhatsApp, millions of messages. And then every fucking where you go, some guy's trying to, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up? Hey, can I hold this door for you? Hey, they're standing online waiting to buy their coffee. Some dude buys their coffee for them. I just thought you were pretty and I wanted to. These things happen for these women. You understand? And it's so constant that they just can't see. But here's the thing that makes, as men, the things that we work hard and strive for usually last even beyond our death.
Yeah.
You understand? Like you want to talk about inventions, innovations, civilizations, all the things that men create always carry on. Like even our name, right? Even our name, we have children. If we have a son, we get to carry on our name for generations to come.
Mm-hmm.
Women are cut short on so many things. You understand? Because their beauty goes down. They don't get. I mean, some of them found the loophole and if they could find a beta enough guy, they could either do the hyphenation or they could do. And you have some guys who take their wife's name.
Yeah.
There are some men that do this, and it's so sad. But again, in general, you understand, like what men work for, like what we strive for, the self-improvements that we make, everything that we do, or most things that we do, usually carry on for generations.
It builds a legacy.
Exactly, legacy, right? But I mean, you have some women who have legacies, shout out to them, not taking nothing away from them, but just in the general scheme of things. A woman's legacy dies with the man's legacy. You see what I'm saying? Like if she's instrumental in his legacy, yeah, her name will carry on. But I guarantee that we'll know Jeff Bezos' name much longer than we will his wife, even though she did help him out.
Yeah.
You understand? And now that they divorced, we're definitely not. I don't even know her name right now, to be honest. You get what I'm saying?
I got no idea.
I read the story that it was her who, helped him, gave him the confidence, said, hey, let's do it from the garage. And then when they got an office, she was his first office manager and she helped him build the business. So again, she was instrumental in his legacy. But whose name am I going to remember though?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, and I'm taking absolutely nothing away from her, but I'm just not going to remember her name, after it's all said and done.
I'll tell you what the female equivalent of this is. Right? Because I had this very profound moment in my life when my what would you call her? She's not my aunt. She's my dad's cousin's mother.
Mm-hmm.
What does that make her? I think it makes her like my second auntie or grand auntie or something like that. I think I'm not familiar with it. I'm not 100% certain on like the nomenclature for like cousins, mothers.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Right. She had her like 95th birthday. This is a while ago. It was like 10 years ago. And so it was a giant family reunion for her 95th birthday. And I remember looking at, I remember standing back and just seeing all the people there. And seeing her and seeing the smile on that woman's face.
Yeah.
Every single person in that room, and there was about 100 of us.
Right.
Was descended from her.
Right.
Came from her. That, my friend, that is the female legacy.
Right.
Is you create the next generation.
The physical family. Yep.
And it is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
To see an old woman, like a 90-year-old woman, surrounded by her family, you will never see a happier woman.
Right.
In the world than like an old great grandmother happily like coddling her grandkids. Like that is a beautiful thing, and that is where, because women like after a certain point they can't have any more kids, but then their role becomes that of the matriarch in the family. And there's a lot of I can't remember who was talking about it. I think it might have been Roller was talking about it, like the idea of he was talking about it yesterday on with Hotep Jesus on Myron Gain on Unplugged Fit's show. They were talking about like what's an alpha female, versus what's an alpha male, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these days people sort of try to conflate like an alpha female with actually a woman who is just portraying masculine traits, right? So like you might think of like the female CEO. Like she's the leader in the boardroom. She's an alpha female. Well, no, she's just a woman who's behaving like a man.
Right, exactly.
What an like I don't want to use the word alpha female, but like I like to use the word matriarch.
Exactly.
A matriarch is exactly what I just described. The nurturing grandmother. The older, wiser woman who can tell the younger women what's to come.
Right.
And sort of guide them through the process, because being a woman is like it's like a roller coaster of emotion, and there's a really good book I recommend. It's called I think it's called The Female Brain.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very beginning, this book is worth buying just for this chart they have at the very, very beginning of the book. And it's sort of it's a chart that documents like all the different chemical hormonal changes that a woman goes through at the different periods of her life. So it's like pre-puberty, puberty, like adulthood, and then like menopause, and then like all this and it shows you all the changing like how estrogen skyrockets and then plummets, and then all this other stuff. And it's like you look at it, you take as a guy. I remember picking up as a teenage, as an 18-year-old dude, and I was like, "Holy shit! This is what it is to be a woman. Holy Christ Almighty! No wonder they're so moody.
Bitches is crazy.
This makes sense now." But that's having an older woman, having a matriarch in the family, is important, because then they can tell the younger women, "Hey, honey, this is what your life is going to be like."
Right.
And they can see a happy old woman. We don't see that many happy old women now.
Right.
We see a lot of bitter, angry, disappointed women in their 40s or like 30s. Feminine, typically.
Right.
We see a lot of that. We're not seeing a lot of older, happier grandmothers.
Right. Yeah. They've been lied to think that competing with men is the answer. You understand?
Yeah.
And you see, again, it's the same thing, and it's the reason why, again, we talk about the truth is inside you, meaning that even if you have two people, guy, girl, doesn't matter, right? If I force them to play to a certain characteristic that's not even them, neither of them are actually gonna develop to their fullest potential. You understand? Because everybody's different. So one person, their strength might be, having a gift of gab, right? And then the other person, their strength might be math. They could just crunch numbers real quick. But if I tell both of you to skydive or something, or I tell both of you to just do something else, like go, both of you got to be cooks. And it's like neither person is actually going to do what they were meant to actually do. And I think that's the issue with a lot of females. It's like, they've been lied to with the narrative of feminism and equality and 50-50 and whatever you can do, I can do.
Yeah.
It's like you're not playing to your strengths. Your strength is, like you said, to be a matriarch, to be a nurturer, to have that like sensitivity about you, to understand the emotional roller coaster, right? Mm-hmm. So you can process emotions and teach other females. That's your natural strength. Now, I'm not saying you can't get a career and do something else, but your natural given strength is femininity, right? Nurturing and all those things. But then they've been told, well, whatever a guy could do, you can do it too, honey. And then you see things like people in the WNBA actually saying, hey, we should be paid the same as these NBA players. Like how? Like things like, and then the delusional part of it and the entitlement, and then all of these different, you're just looking at them like, seriously?
Honey, look, you should be dunking first before anyone's going to sit in those seats.
Get your stats up. Like, can you make shots at the same clip as men do? You understand what I'm saying? And I'm like, and if we were all equal, then we would have, if the Super Bowl is coming up next weekend, right? We would have a mixed team of men and women.
Yeah.
And we could just all smack into each other and tackle each other as if it wasn't. But no, that's not it, is it? And you claim that we're equal. You claim whatever you could do, I could do. It's not so. There's a reason why a lot of you don't take STEM, STEM careers and STEM classes. There's a reason. But go ahead.
I was going to say, there's another thing there with like using the WNBA as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for the most part, we don't like seeing, like, humans in general don't really like to watch women fight.
Right.
They do, both men and women love watching men.
Exactly.
Love watching men fight. Right? Like, yeah, you can make an argument for the UFC and people like Ronda Rousey and stuff like that. But then, like, honestly, I think Ronda Rousey was a bit of an anomaly, because most people much prefer to watch two men punch each other.
Exactly.
Than watching two women go at it. And same with any kind of competitive sport. Because there's plenty of women in the NBA seats as well. They're not just dudes packing the stands, there's women packing the stands too.
A lot of times even more.
There's not women packing the stands at WNBA games.
Exactly.
What does that tell you?
I mean, the proof is there. The proof is there. And the thing is that they'll take the exception and try to make it the rule.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just one sliver. Of course, there's exceptions. There's always one sliver. There's always one chick that came out with a little bit more testosterone than the other females. Of course, we get it. But you can't use that one female and try to act like all of us are equal now. Like, stop.
They've done this in Australia recently. They I think, was it 2 years ago? They did. So in Australia, we have what we call the AFL. We have Australian rules football, which is very different to any other football you've seen. It's like it's based on Gaelic football, which is actually like an Irish sport. It's the only countries in the world that play this. The only country in the world that plays Australian rules football is Australia. No other. It's not played anywhere else in the world. So it's a very unique. You have to kind of Google it to see what it looks like. But imagine, like, it's kind of like, fuck. It's really hard to describe. It's a bit like rugby and a bit like it's a bit like a combination between rugby and soccer.
Okay.
Maybe. That's probably the easiest way of describing it. But it's very violent.
Mm-hmm.
Very violent. Like, no pads and dudes running into each other at full pelt. Right? It's fantastic. But they, like, about 2 years ago, I think, maybe 3 years ago, they created the women's AFL in Australia. And it, of course, they pushed the hell out of it. Everyone was like, everyone, because Australia is very, very similar to America in terms of its, like, feminist culture and SJWs and stuff. So they're like, yay, women, and you can do it too, girl. And all the stands were, to be fair, all the games were packed during the first season or two. Mm-hmm. But it's like, now it's where's it going? Like, where's it going? It's just this trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
Right.
In my opinion. And the kind of people who I see sort of promoting it are the same kind of people who are promoting, like, all the other lies of, like, SJWs and feminism and stuff. It's all part of the same kind of agenda. And it's like, man, just let people be, like, let people indulge in their sort of natural inclinations rather than just trying to force them into these positions, And now in Australia, there was, I don't know if there was definitely one case of this in Australia where they had, like, they allowed a transgender woman to be in one of these women's AFL teams. Mm-hmm. So it's like a 6'3" jacked person, like, bigger than me, on this field, like, running into these ladies at full pelt. I'm like, whoo, oh boy, you you get what you asked for. I'm just saying. And I think Biden just, like, allowed transgender women in women's college sports as well, I think. So,
really?
Yeah, we're in for a real fun time.
And then we got a female vice president too. And
we'll see how long she remains vice president. He might croak.
Yeah, he got a couple of,
and she'll just take his place.
No,
it's gonna be fun.
Then I definitely have to move to the Iberian Peninsula.
I'm making plans. Don't worry. I'm already making plans. Like I said, I'm severing ties with California while I'm here. That's my whole. That's the only reason I am back in Los Angeles is to sever all ties with California, so I can get the hell out of here. Basically. We've been going for like an hour and 20 minutes. I want to give you a chance to plug some of your stuff.
Okay,
Miles. So
I'm on Instagram at Miles in the Game, Miles in THE Game, the Game.
Bring it right here in the chat.
If you see it, it's in the chat. If you see any other spelling that's not me, just putting that out there.
Right there. Live chat, guys.
The YouTube is just search Miles Cunningham, and then you'll see the Game Kings documentary cover as my avatar. And speaking of that, the Game Kings documentary, please go to www.mrlucario.com and you can buy the documentary there, or you can join what we have is called the Bad Boy Membership. And the Bad Boy Membership is a monthly paid subscription. And when you join the Bad Boy Membership, you also get access to the Game Kings documentary, as well as over 85 other programs that we have on there about game, dating, dealing with women, sex, everything, right? Confidence, everything like that. How to text, online dating, how to talk to women, everything you want to talk about, everything you ever thought about, we have it on there. And then we have new updated stuff. That's why it's a constant thing, because things are changing, things are growing. Men need more and more support, right? And once you join the Bad Boy Membership, we also have free email coaching, and it's basically a community of guys who are really looking to get what they want out of life, not just from females, right? But from life in general, having the confidence to really go after what you want. That's really what it's all about, So yeah, man, check all those things out. Especially if I would say only do one, I would say get the Game Kings documentary. You understand? Go to www.mrlucario and buy the Game Kings documentary. The reason why I say that is because it's a documentary that we did with a few guys and in different age ranges, where we interviewed them about the definition of game. Right? And we talked about the misconceptions, we talked about manhood, we talked about the definition of game. We talk about how to be attractive as a man. We talk about masculinity. So, and it's a really good springboard to really get your brain going as to how to attack this entire culture of masculinity, male female interaction, and just how to really carry yourself as a man to begin with. Understand yourself first. You understand, before you really get into the nitty gritty of understanding women. You understand, because your understanding of women, because here's what a lot of people forget, and another mistake that guys make is that the fact that women are emotional, it also means that they can be manipulated. You understand? And when I say that, I don't mean manipulated like they're just the puddles of clay. But what I mean is, once you can, it's more about harnessing the power of women. You understand what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that comes from you, because you set your agenda, you set your character, you set your identity, and then that's when you can begin to request and begin to understand what you require from a female, and then begin to set and manipulate, so to speak, and harness the power of a female for your enhancement and for your development moving forward when it comes to relationships and everything like that. And it also goes back to the whole thing with culture, because again, I truly believe it, because men come first. I honestly believe women are sort of an accessory to the experience of man. I honestly believe that, and it doesn't. I don't think it's anything to denigrate women about. It's more like, well, if I put on an outfit, and then I put on some shades and a chain, I look that much better. You understand? Like I'm good looking with the outfit, but once I put on the little accessories, that's what really makes that's what enhances everything about my outfit. And I think if we can understand who we are as men, I think that could be the power of females. And I think that would be a great place for a female to be, because when I say manipulation, I don't mean manipulation with a malicious intent. I truly believe in, as men elevate, any woman in our circle will elevate as well. You understand? And that's what it's really all about. And I think that's the whole, misunderstood idea behind hypergamy. Like how you were saying, it's like a guy poking you with a spear in your back. It's like, you should always be trying to move forward. You should always be trying to do better. You understand what I'm saying? And so with that being said, when a woman can trust in your drive to always do better, that's when you'll find a woman that really and truly supports, the idea of you as a man, and can be there for the long haul, where you can actually put trust in her and actually utilize, her strengths to pair with yours for you to just continue to elevate. You understand? So then even after you die, like I said, your name will continue beyond the ages. You understand? Because you actually die twice, right? You die when your body dies, and then you die again the last time somebody speaks your name or thinks of you.
Yeah, right.
So the more you're able to do in this life is the more people will continue talking about you after you die. But I honestly think it takes a good woman as well. You understand? But still, it's up to you to make that woman as great as she can be, right? Because her greatness is reflective of yours as a man.
Yes. That's a very important thing there that I don't think a lot of guys talk about.
Right. Because even when you were talking about with the matriarchy, which your aunt twice removed on your dad's side, right? she's 95 years old, but she's looking around and she sees the fruits of her femininity. Right? And that's what it's about. Like that whole family dynamic was something that happened between her and a man. And it's a reflection. It's a reflection of her submission to a man's plan. And now she's able to look around and see the beauty of it all.
Bingo. Man, you just fucking nailed it right there. You absolutely. Man, whoever's watching this in a replay, rewind that last 30 seconds and listen to that again. Because that is so key. He's like, her man allowed her to achieve her full potential. Exactly. That's it.
But yeah, we have to remember our importance. But yeah, like I said, get that documentary, because I think that is a good starting off point. It's called Game Kings, the definition of game. And you can get it at MrLucario.com. Yeah, man.
Boom. There we go. I think that's a great place for us to end this.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Miles. It's been fantastic. Everyone watching it, before you stop watching, just smash that like button one more time. Smash that like button.
Yeah, man.
There's a bunch more people. And leave some comments down below if you disagree with anything we've said, or if you agree with whatever we've said. Let's have some discussion. I check absolutely every comment. Goddamn, this thing's like completely invisible. There's a phone in my hand. I check every comment that comes in on my YouTube channel, and I try to reply to as many of them if there's like a disagreement or a conversation, whatever. So jump in there, and I'll happily lend my 2 cents to you guys. Anyway, all of the Miles's Instagram and the Bad Boy Membership Club and the MrLucario.com URLs are in the back here in the live chat, so you guys can see them. I'm going to drop them in there one more time.
Nice. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Just so everyone can get go have a look at them all there. Bad Boy Membership, Miles's Instagram. Don't forget to follow Miles on Instagram. Don't forget to follow him on his YouTube channel here as well. I'm dropping in the chat as well. And last but not least, you can go to MrLucario.com to check out the Game Kings documentary as well. All right. That'll be us for today. I'm going to play some music. We're going to get out of here. Thanks once again for joining us, Miles. And we'll see you guys next time, right?